We're live. I'm back. Hi, welcome to episode 14 of our wonderful show, Fourth and One podcast. I'm Rusey Badass, and I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, the solo act coach Trey, holding it down for me again while I had some work obligations to work through. How you doing today, Trey?
Good, baby. Trying to make some money. In fact, so much so that I'm trying to make myself not like the game that's about to happen tonight with Wazoo. I've got some family that I'll put it this way: I got some family that have some skin on the line in that one. But I'm trying to remain poised in the pocket.
I feel you. Let's just get a couple announcements off the rip. So we are disbanding the Patreon. We had some difficulty gaining access with each other. Like my account, Trey would have trouble logging in through my account. We couldn't have a joint account for some reason. We had to have a certain amount of traffic, and it was just causing some problems. I mean, we were having some difficulty getting out the plays. We want a platform that we can get plays out to in the event where we can't get it today. So for now, all of our bets will be on here. And if anything we see, specifically player props, we're going to have our Twitter. We're going to have that linked in the YouTube video. I'll get that out to everyone. We're still going to be on Spotify. Everything, nothing's changing along the lines of that. We are just moving off from the Patreon. We're just going to stay free here. And any plays we don't have on here will be on Twitter. So that's that. Number two, we will have a companion show. Unfortunately, it won't be for the big game everyone's looking forward to because I have a wedding to attend that day. But we will have a companion show. I'm hoping within a month. We need to get our schedules aligned for a show. If not, we'll save it for bowl season and playoff season, and we'll have some fun with that. But we're still working on that. We're gonna get that settled out, and we're gonna have a fun ass time with that. So, without being said, let's get into it, man. Let's go over some talking points maybe from the season and maybe last week or whatever you want to talk about. I have 3 down here, so if you want me to spitball you one of them, the SEC, the dominance of the SEC, 7 teams in the top 25. Is it surprising, Trey? I mean, some would say it's not.
No, and the reason why is not so much so because they're so good, which they are, but it's because everybody else I think has kind of been adjusting. And you can kind of touch on this if you'd like to. I don't see anybody in the Big Ten, and we'll get into this here in a second. I don't see anybody else really in the Big Ten contending with Ohio State. I think Michigan is probably the closest, but would you agree? And this is like one answer only, yes or no. Would you agree that the distance between Ohio State and Georgia is greater than the distance between Georgia and Alabama?
As far as Ohio State being the best team?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would you say the distance is the same between Georgia and Tennessee as Michigan and Ohio State?
I think that's closer.
Okay. So the point of that is what I'm trying to explain. Is it's all about, parity. And when there's not a lot of that, you get kind of these lopsided kind of biddies. I know State obviously goes and they play Penn State this weekend, which for whatever reason, they're not making that the whiteout game. They're going to save that, I guess, for a better game for
Michigan.
I'm okay, whatever. But so like to me, man, I'm not shocked. I think I expected maybe a little bit more from the ACC than I'm getting. I don't think
you're shocked.
Well, because check me out, bro. Because remember, you were on NC State, okay,
and they are below par,
right? And so I think Clemson's defense is probably as advertised like what we thought, but DJU has had an up and down season, and there's been some Twittersphere talk that he's had a good season up until last week. Bro, where? Like, I'm not saying the kid's not talented, but you're not going to sit here and tell me that he's been playing great all year.
He's had a better season compared to his previous one. I mean, that's a fair argument, but to say
that one wasn't good either.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that earlier on. I mean, we always were on the backup quarterback, and they even went to him to win the game. I mean, I think they were down 2 touchdowns, I believe.
Yeah. Well, they went to Klubnik, and I don't think they win the game if they don't put Klubnik in.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, I don't want to look, and I'm not reinventing the wheel here, and I don't want to bury the lead. And the last thing I'll say, and you can get back to your point, to answer that and to surmise like that entire point, if TCU played Clemson on a neutral field, what do you think that spread would be?
TCU and Clemson.
Yep.
Man, I would love to see that game. What would it be? Clemson 2.5.
Okay. And if when Clemson goes and plays South Carolina at the end of the year, what do you think that spread's going to be?
Probably a touchdown.
Okay. So how many years have you and I watched Clemson football? A lot, right? How many have you ever thought, damn, South Carolina low-key might could have a puncher's chance in that game?
Not since Marcus Lattimore was on the team.
I think they could win the game. I'm not saying they are, but I think they could.
And you said this, my analysis last week was I thought South Carolina was going to play a hell of a game against A&M, and that's what they did. They have the talent. I mean, they have the young coach who gets his players to play for him. They just don't do it consistently. So, like, big games, I see them coming through on certain big games, and they'll have nothing to lose in that game. So they'll probably throw the kitchen sink at them. Will Clemson be undefeated going into that game is the bigger question. I don't know. I think they're past their tough part of the schedule. Do they? I believe they had to play Miami. I could be wrong in that. I'll double check that. But
yes,
yeah.
But to my point, we thought more of Miami, didn't we?
Yeah.
So, but again, no, I'm not shocked. What I am shocked by, and I know we don't want to spend a lot of time on this because you and I have been getting burned by them literally every single week, and I can't nail them down. I got burned on them last week. I'm shocked by a couple of teams on the West Coast. I didn't think that USC would be as good on offense as they are. I knew they'd be good. I didn't know they'd be this good, and I didn't think that UCLA would look this nice. And lastly, but certainly not least, after we watched Georgia dog walk Oregon, I didn't think that they would be as good as they are now. So hats off to the Ducks for doing what they're doing, bro, because they are.
It just shows you. It just shows you how good the SEC is, man. And in my opinion, outside of Ohio State and Georgia, Bama, the top teams, the top 4 or 5 teams, I think any team outside of Vanderbilt and Missouri can beat and compete with anyone in the country. Even Florida. I mean, we saw it. I mean, they beat Utah. I mean, it can happen, and there's always a chance outside of Vanderbilt and outside of Missouri because I'm not giving them any credit. But yeah, I want your opinion on this. So one, both games next week are massive. You have Tennessee, Georgia. You have LSU, Alabama. So we've got LSU as a 14.5-point spread underdog at home against Bama. And you've got Tennessee as a 12.5-point dog against Georgia. Just what is Vegas seeing? I don't get it. I just don't get it at all. I've seen typically I am spot on with the trends. Like I know where Vegas is going, but this has been 4 consecutive weeks where I've seen them contradict themselves each time. So I don't know.
So I just wanted to pull the stream up really quick to make sure that we were
rocked. Yeah.
There was like a lag on my internet for a second, which I have like a strong enough internet to like land a plane. So I just wanted to understand like what that was. Anyway, okay. Vegas is looking at a couple of different things for the Alabama LSU game flatly. Vegas is seeing that LSU is not only a stark favorite once they have that bye week, because LSU and Alabama have done the bye week thing for forever. Just because Saban's teams are vulnerable and they're giving up certain points, like the normal avenues that you would take to like poke holes in why Alabama may lose a game don't really apply for LSU, because they're going to get that bye week and they're going to be healthy. So when you take injury into effect, snap count, seconds per score per player, that kind of thing is a really big one that I've been reading about. I think that it's probably very, very similar to in 2019, and I mentioned this before, where Vegas spent the whole year trying to catch up to LSU, okay, and they did it again with Alabama in 2020. They spent the entire year trying to catch up to them, never could. And even if you remember, whenever LSU went into Tuscaloosa that year in 2019, the number never, ever left off the original. It never left. It was the creepiest thing in the world, because LSU had been dog walking people, right? And so you still gave credence to Alabama because of home field. Well, now they don't have the home field. I put this down as 12.5, so it's not that far off.
Yeah.
But that number came out at 17.
Right.
Okay? Like the early line was 17. So I get it. Nick Saban's going to have them ready. He is. Am I telling you they're going to win by that? I'm not willing to say that just yet, but we got another week to do that. Florida and Tennessee and Georgia, rather. Look, I thought it would have been more like 9.5, because I just think that Vegas would want you to play one way or the other. But by putting it so high, you're going to get Tennessee money, and they're going to leave it up there, and they're going to make a killing on that game, because everybody in the state of Tennessee has been waiting for this moment. And if they don't beat Georgia now, they're not going to. They're not. They are not. And it doesn't matter how bad their defense is, because you can't stop them on offense. But Georgia's the only defense that I see that could contest that. But we'll see, dude. They're looking at trends. Bro.
My opinion on it is, for Bama LSU, they see what's going to happen. What happened with Tennessee LSU, and that's, I don't think LSU has the secondary and the offense to keep up with Bama's pass game and their scoring. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think we can win a shootout. With Ole Miss, I see why there was a completely contradicting line as us as the favorite, because they're one-dimensional. We talked about that. Ole Miss is one-dimensional. All they can do is run the ball. So are you getting in a shootout with them? No. Once you stop the run, Ole Miss is done. That rhymed. Oh, well. Anyways, with Bama and Tennessee, you saw that's the kind of game how you beat Bama. You have to outscore them. You have to have a good pass game, a la 2019 with Joe Burrow and all them. We had the best defense, the best team of all time, in my opinion, but one of the better defenses, and they still put up, 40 on us? So to me, I think, and we saw a bunch of Ole Miss people running free last week. Lots of missed throws. I think they see that, and they see Bryce Young's not missing that pass. Jackson Dart might, but Bryce Young's not missing that pass. So to me, and Jaden Daniels had years to throw the ball last week. Is that Ole Miss's D-line? Is that LSU's O-line? I don't know. So I think they see that game going the same way or trending in the same direction as Tennessee LSU. With Tennessee Georgia, I think Tennessee wins the game. Who's going to stop Tennessee outside of Ohio State? Ohio State's putting up 50 points a game. So, and they have a good defense. So, you're going into that game knowing you're going to get a 50 spot put on you. So, can you score more than 50? I don't know if Georgia has the pass game to keep up in a shootout. I just don't know if they do. They have the run game, but so did Bama. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Is Georgia's secondary that good? I've seen them have some struggling games. I've seen them look like world beaters. I think that line's way too wide. Way too wide. Touchdown at the most.
I've got 2 points on that one. I made this, and I don't know if I even brought this to the stream. And if I didn't, then it's 100% my fault. everybody wants to talk about Tennessee winning the game. You and I thought that we thought that they would, right? Like we laid money on that game. Like we won money because they, it's like we could pull receipts out if we want to. Look at what Tennessee did, okay? But look what it took from Alabama for Tennessee to win that game. A historical, categorical penalty nightmare.
Yep.
What might be their weakest defensive team, especially definitely their weakest secondary they've had under Nick Saban, probably since they lost to UL Monroe. Then look at all of that, and they won by a tipped, wobbly kick that found its way through the uprights by about 1.5 feet.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
That 2019 LSU team that we were just talking about, that cakewalked on everybody, the one team that gave them pushback was Auburn because they did that weird stack linebacker shit. And they came out slow, were sluggish, and they, honest to God, were looking ahead of the game. It happens. The best teams do it. They're kids, okay? That LSU team with Tua and all them boys went down in there, won by 4 points.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and they never lost. They were never losing the game. They were never in trouble of losing the game. If you watch that game, the scoreboard doesn't say a single thing about that game if you remember it. Bama, LSU people will tell you LSU was winning the game the entire time, and you never really felt like it was in doubt. You thought you were close, but it was never in doubt. And they won by 4. It's hard to beat Nick Saban. It's hard to beat Alabama. It doesn't matter where you're at.
Yeah.
So,
completely agree.
So, and to piggyback off your point, because you just brought up Ohio State. Ohio State's been dog-walking people. But we use this narrative on Ole Miss because Ole Miss has been doing the same thing to folks, and they didn't really play anybody with too much traction. They played a really, really banged-up Kentucky team, and you know how much I love UK football. Yeah, you know that Stoops is my guy. But why aren't we paying attention in the same way to Ohio State? They played a Notre Dame team that you and I have been questioning since the beginning of the season. But we're not giving any credence to the fact that Ohio State's schedule's been easy, but yet we're willing to throw in. You know what I'm saying? So I just want there to be, even playing field whenever we're talking about that. And that's why whenever you look at this Ohio State line, when they're playing Penn State and you're going, I mean, we think they might win by that, but like Vegas really thinks they're going to win by over 2 tutties. Like, so yeah. I don't know, man. It's a stinky line to me.
To piggyback off the Ohio State, and that was a second talking point of mine. We haven't seen the reason why they get passes on the scheduling outside of the first game, which I give everyone a pass on the first game because it's tough.
Of course,
they have beaten people in many different ways. They haven't done so. Ole Miss has only ran the ball, and they've had some hiccups along the way, but they beat people by running the ball. You know that. You know what you're getting with Ole Miss. Ohio State has done it all 3 ways. They have CJ Stroud has thrown for 500 yards, and they win by 40, 6 touchdowns. They've had a backup running back score 6 touchdowns, rushing the ball, and they've also had the defense come up with a few touchdowns as well. And they've never had a hiccup after the first week. No game has been close to theirs. I don't think you can make that argument for any other team in the country. Everyone's had one, and I give everyone one. Everyone is always going to have one hiccup. But Georgia's had several hiccups. They've had 2 or 3. Outside of their first week, they beat the shit out of Oregon. But they struggled against Missouri. They have struggled several games. Ole Miss almost lost to a non-conference team, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember who it was, but they were in a really close game and barely hung on to win. I need to go double check. Maybe it was an SEC team. I can't remember. That's the reason 50 points a game, impressive. I mean, who the hell is doing it? And they're doing it passing, they're doing it running. They can beat you several different ways. And they get Michigan. So like that's like the thing. Like they are going to play a top 5 team in the country. They don't have the SEC schedule. That's fine. The Big Ten once was kind of like the SEC in this spot where they had several teams that were in the top 25. They're just down this year. So, and they're without their best receiver, who is an afterthought at this point. I mean, because Marvin Harrison Jr. and Egbuka, I forgot what his name is. Anyways, those 2 are studs. I mean, they're putting up Jackson Smith and Jigba numbers. So, and they've got the likely Heisman favorite, which is now a closer race. However, I think if Georgia beats Tennessee, that ruins that narrative. I think it's over at that point. Yeah.
Over.
So, anyways, I think we agree that Ohio State's the best team in the country, right? I mean, I think that's clear, right?
It's murky waters, but yeah, it's hard to give them. It's hard to give.
Okay, so maybe not clear, but it's close enough. But
I'm fine with it. Yes, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was Tulsa, by the way. Almost lost to Tulsa.
Okay, yeah. And my last talking point before we get into the to our cards, which we'll go by quickly because I don't think we have deep cards this week. A lot of the big games are next week. So TCU, it's the headline on the channel. Contender or pretender, man. So they're putting up over 44, 45 points a game. I don't think they've scored below 38 points in the game. But the argument is their schedule gets very difficult coming up.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, you've got West Virginia this week on the road, Texas Tech, Texas, Baylor, Iowa State. Do you think they run the table?
Yeah.
That's what I think. I agree.
No. But not for the same reasons that you do, probably. And the reason why I don't think that they will is because it's incredibly hard to do that. So they got West Virginia, and we're also looking at Texas Tech, Texas, Baylor, and Iowa State. Could they? Yes. Will they? Probably not. I don't think that they will because it's extraordinarily impossibly hard to remain healthy and motivated for every single one of those games.
Yeah.
Coming from a team that doesn't have memories of that, it's going to be really, really hard. Now, I'm not saying they don't have leadership in the locker room. They obviously do. But to find the strength from whether it's the players, the coaching staff, whatever the case may be, nobody's been in that kind of environment before to say, hey, look, this is how you go undefeated. But the same can be said for LSU, and they did it. Please don't misunderstand me. TCU is nowhere close to 2019 LSU or 2020 Alabama or whatever you want to, or Georgia last year, or which was a one-loss team. No, I don't think so, and they're due for a letdown spot. I need it to be this week, because I need West Virginia to stop tripping and playing about me because I need them to win 3 games. But no, I don't think that they were on the table. But honestly, it'd be pretty cool if they did.
Yeah.
To be true.
It makes life interesting when you get to those 4 teams. I don't think they do. I think Texas is the best 3-loss team in the country. LOL. I think Texas takes that game very seriously. It's in Texas. I'll probably put my house on that game.
Yeah. Well.
Anyways. All right. So to the betting cards. I'm sticking with the SEC this week. I think I went 3 for 4 last week. I had some good success. I know the SEC, so why deviate away from it, right? So I guess I'll just quickly go through my 5 plays, and then we'll go through yours. Okay. Arkansas, Auburn, under 66.5. That's a crazy number. I've seen this number several times in SEC games. Auburn does not have the capability of scoring more than 28 points in a game. They just don't. Arkansas can probably score 50, but Auburn's defense is not chicken. They are actually okay. They're definitely the best part about the team. So under 62.5, I think that's easy. I think Arkansas is probably in the 30s. Auburn's probably high teens. So under 62.5 for that game. Florida, Georgia, under 56.5. Another game where I don't think Florida scores more than 2 touchdowns. And their defense is capable enough of – I don't think Georgia's a team that can put up 40 against them. I think it's going to be a close game in the first half. They'll pull away in the end. I have it in right around 50. So under 56.5 there. Mm-hmm. Is Will Levis back or Levis?
Yep.
Okay. Kentucky plus 11.5 then. This is your classic letdown game for Tennessee. Looking ahead, Kentucky is not pussy. Oh, wow. Kentucky is not pussy. Plus 11.5 letdown game. against Tennessee, or they're looking forward to Georgia. They're not looking forward to this game. I promise you. And if they beat the shit out of Kentucky, then damn, I bet you that line drops in that Georgia game. Ole Miss money line against A&M minus 126 on the road, I believe. I need to go double check that, but I'm pretty sure they're playing on the road. A&M just doesn't have the offense like LSU to keep up with Ole Miss. Jaden Daniels showed you the exact blueprint on how to beat Ole Miss. The LSU team, Brian Kelly did. So A&M doesn't have the offense like LSU does. So I think Ole Miss revenge game, coming off a loss, trying to keep their name in the hat. So Ole Miss money line against A&M. And finally, I'm taking an upset. Missouri money line on the road plus 150 against South Carolina. South Carolina, as I alluded to today and last week, you did for me. They played the game of their life, but they are inconsistent. They do not do that every game.
Letdown
game. I have several letdown spots here. It's real. It's absolutely real. So that's what I'm doing. And those are my 5 plays. The SEC, like I said, we were kind of debating on whether there's going to be an SEC show or not. I feel like it mainly is. Like, that's our bread and butter. So I'm not going to deviate away from it anymore. I went 3 for 4 last week. I'm hoping to go 4 for 5 this week. So that's my plays. And Trey, on to you. Let's hear your plays.
I'm going to go through these plays rather quickly because I don't want to run out of time because I will not let this show end without saying what I have to say. So we're going to go back to the barrel here. And as far as the SEC plays is concerned, I've actually won most of my games elsewhere. Yes. So I've actually won a lot of games with the SEC, but I've got a lot of good games elsewhere.
You're a West Coast guy. I mean, you've done a lot of action on the West Coast.
Look, I'm not even going to say their name, but you know where they reside, and they're nowhere close to the biggest school in that state, and they've been locking it away from me. I love their helmets.
Yeah.
Shout out Green Wave. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buy the points. I know that this is stupid, but I'm going to buy the points. But hear me out. I'm going to take Kentucky on 16.5.
Okay.
Here's why. Kentucky's prone to turnovers, okay? Will Levis is going to try to push the ball down the field, and I don't want to have let a pick six ruin my day. So I'm going to put Kentucky. This is a parlay. I'm going to put Kentucky on 16.5. I'm playing the Texas Tech money line, and I'm also going to play the TCU money line. That's a plus 390 parlay. That's quite a good bit of odds for what I think is a pretty good play.
Yeah.
I know that I'm going against Baylor. I think Baylor's a little bit less than what we thought that they were going to be. And TCU is the exact opposite. So I'm going to go with that parlay there. I'm taking Ole Miss on the money line straight up. I'm not playing the 1.5 because it's a 1.5 now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go with straight up money line of Ole Miss, and I'm going to tell you why here in a second. And because I need it to happen and because I'm willing it to happen, I'm doing one last parlay, but I actually like this one, and it's a little bit spicier, okay? I'm taking West Virginia on the 13.5. I'm buying the points. I'm staying under that 200, that key number of the 200 rather. So West Virginia on the 13.5. Navy on the money line. I have been absolutely hammering the armed forces this year. And Ohio State on the money line, that's plus 104, and I think might have been plus 111 by the time the show started on that parlay. Another play that I liked that barely missed was Notre Dame on the spread. Listen. I know we've given them a lot of slack. They deserve a lot of flack, rather. They deserve it. But numbers are numbers. Numbers are numbers. And also buying Penn State, which you could not do at the time that I tried to do it, buying Penn State to 3 tutties was pretty nice because I think that that's absolutely possible that it could bust, but that's not why it made my card. Okay, I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to speed past it anymore. I'm putting my pencil down. I'm going to take a sip of water for a second. I'm going to adjust this accordingly. What's going on in College Station right now is absolutely not going to be swept under the rug. It has been talked about on my Twitter account, my personal account, and the Twitter page account. Laugh all you want. Everybody listening here, I have gotten literal DMs from Texas A&M fans, bro. And we are still in the infancy stage of this show, and we are trying to build a funny, comparable, profitable show. Let me tell you what's funny. The fact that Texas A&M gets the gall to tell me, of all people, that I don't support them. First of all, I have been betting on player props for Texas A&M for 7 weeks now, despite the fact that I took their season under, okay? I told you I came on this show 2 years ago, and I said if Jimbo Fisher is the head coach of anywhere else, he would be more successful because being a coach at Texas A&M is like being a coach at Auburn, dude. Like, they don't let you do your job. They literally cannot help but meddle in the man's job. Is Jimbo perfect? No. Is he the savior of God? No, he's not. But you know what he also isn't? He's not perfect, and he's not letting go of the playbook. And I'm here to tell you that Texas A&M would write an $87 million check to make that man leave in a land speed record time. The Blue Angels sound barrier breaking would not be the amount of time they would write that check with no sweat off their back, and they would take another $13 million and do it for the rest of the coaching staff. It is absurd to me. It is absurd that Texas A&M cannot figure this out. I want them to be good so bad because I want there to be more parity. I don't want it to be Bama and Georgia and everybody else. Bro, Ole Miss being undefeated, turn me up. Kentucky having like a possible, preseason Heisman contender for quarterback, first-round draft pick, turn me up. Tennessee being good, turn me up. Why can't A&M do that? Why? Want to know why? Because every year they jinx themselves. I believe in superstition. I know you do. Every year they get on the Twitter sphere in their overalls and shit.
Oh, you muted yourself.
They say, we're going to win this entire thing. We're going to win. We're going to win 10 games, 9 games, 11 games, whatever the case may be. And every year I go, you know what? Over on the money line, over on the win total. And every year I get disappointed. Not this year. We bet the under. We're going to slam it because I am furious. Dude, they've got more endowment, more money than everybody in the nation, and they do nothing with it but complain, bro. They have more money than everybody and can't do anything with it. And I am sick of it. It's despicable. It has to change, or I swear to God, Jimbo Fisher is going to get bought out of there. And none of the players will give a damn because the punter's leaving, bro. The punter. What does the punter do? He drinks Gatorade, bro. And I was a punter in high school. Bro, you're about to get run out of town. Hire somebody to run the spread, bro.
They don't have the quarterback, Trey. They don't.
Anthony.
They don't have the quarterback.
You're not here.
You can't tell me. No, no, you spoke. Let me react. It'll be quick. One. Any A&M fan who is mad at you shouldn't be, because you can point them to one of our first videos on this channel where I shat on them. I took the under. And and you defended it. You defended them. You told me to apologize. I did. And so that show them that video. 2, they don't have a quarterback, Trey. I told you going into the season, if Max Johnson is competing for a job to be the starting quarterback at that college, they are going to suck. Their first guy's going to suck, and he's going to suck. And what's happened? Both of them have sucked. Max Johnson is not a good quarterback. His brother, I don't even know if he's a good tight end. Does he have any stats? Because he was this coveted tight end coming out of fucking high school. So, I mean, yeah. So I'm fucking glad he chose them, because he would have stayed at LSU if not. So I'm very glad he chose A&M. Does he have? Where is it? What's the stat line? Can you give me a stat line? This guy was supposed to be like the best tight end coming out of high school.
Bro,
I'm waiting for a stat line.
Can you?
I'm looking it up.
Out of every team, out of every single team in the SEC, and I'm glad we're going over on this, because I swear to Christ I wasn't going to let the show end without talking about this.
Well, my phone is.
Out of all the teams, it's Jake Johnson, bro. I got it. Jake Johnson stats. I got it. Out of every single team in the SEC, where do you think Jackson Dart ranks?
Every SEC as the quarterbacks are concerned?
Yep. Where does
as
he rank?
Far as what?
He's got 1 catch for 2 yards.
Yeah,
But he's
coveted.
also a freshman and 18 years old, Russo. Like,
He's 6'5".
Anthony. There's bigger issues than Jake Johnson not getting passes, bro. That kid is a dog.
No.
Believe me.
He'll
get his.
sure.
He'll get his. Bro,
every fucking A&M athlete over there. They are all dogs coming into the university.
Russo,
and what do they turn into? What do they turn into? Tell me.
Jackson Dart.
Better than anyone in A&M. Better than anyone in A&M. Not even close.
Do you think Jackson Dart could run a good spread offense?
As compared to the SEC? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
So do you think that it would just be possible that A&M might have lost maybe one or two less games if they didn't have a fossil for an offensive playbook?
I blame the quarterback. I don't think it's the playbook. If they had Jackson Dart, if this team had Jackson Dart, they'd probably have only 2 losses, maybe 1.
They use fullbacks.
I don't care. Jackson Dart is a better quarterback.
Well, yeah, but I'm just look.
He is God compared to those two guys.
Okay, you don't miss my point. The point of it is the playbook is easy to ascertain. South Carolina just opened the game by taking it to the crib, bro, and 6 people didn't want to tackle him. That's not they're better than you. That's a lack of effort, cuz. Okay? If South Carolina can figure out your offense with what they've already contested is a rebuilding year for them, and who, by the way, I've already said that I dream of the day where South Carolina would have me come to their stadium because I can't wait to go to that because that looks like a freaking party and a half. But South Carolina has never been known to be stout on defense. Even whenever it was the Spurrier South Carolina Gamecocks, they still weren't stout on defense, bro. They locked A&M up. A&M lost to Appalachian State. You want me to tell you how good their season's going right now?
Okay.
Bro, that's not a quarterback concern, cuzzo. That is a playbook issue. He needs to hire literally anybody and everybody, write him a check, blank check, pay him all the money in the world, and please, for the sake of God, resurrect it. Because if I hear one more person talk about the fact that the SEC West and the SEC East is a detriment because of Texas A&M, I'm going to throw up because they can be a powerhouse and they don't know what to do with it because Jimbo can't get out of his own way.
Maybe Saban was on to something at the beginning of the season, saying he bought all of his players.
I'm sweating.
Maybe the NIL is a bigger deal than we're thinking. Maybe these kids.
It is a bigger deal. It absolutely is a bigger deal.
To me, here's the thing. Everyone's aspiration that's like a 5-star, athlete coming out of high school is to get to the pros, right? You want to go to college. You want to do well.
Yes.
But now these kids are getting life-changing money.
Yep.
And I say that lightly because to them, they're not making anything prior to this. You could come from a rich family, but if you have some kid that is just living an average life, is a really good athlete, and goes to A&M, for example, and he gets $4 million for 3 straight years. Like I don't know how the NIL deals work if they're on a year-to-year basis.
That's probably on the highest of ends.
Okay, so $2 million. $2 million. Let's say $2 million. Yeah, let's go down to $2 million.
Still on the high end. We're playing along. I get
$2 million. $2 million is life-changing money, bro. It is, and maybe there's not as much aspiration. People got their money. It's just like when a professional gets a huge extension. How many times have you seen a guy that gets a bag show the same intensity?
Oh, no. Don't misunderstand. You're exactly right. Like that is why the people are leaving.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying it could be a point. It could be a point.
But the kids are leaving. But the kids are, and this is another team that I really had a lot of high hopes for, despite the fact that I almost took their over. Auburn. Kids, bro, they have like 11 or 12 kids that have already left their 2021 recruiting class. Like, they're leaving because of the coach's concerns, and they're asking for red shirts, and he's telling them no. That's way different than the culture.
The coach definitely the concern in Auburn. I mean, I think there was a huge.
See, but Brian Harsin has had it out. They've had it out for him since he got there. He never even got a averagely fair chance to coach over there.
That's fair.
But whatever. I'm not here to talk about Auburn, bro. I just had to get that out about Texas A&M.
I'm not. Okay.
I'm not here. I'm not here to kick, to throw stones at a glass house. I'm not here to kick people when they're down. I'm just saying that whenever Ohio State went through this, whenever they hired Coach Day, I said from the jump, I said they better not piss this away because I'm going to lay into them if I ever get a platform to do it. Because Ohio State is one of the reasons why people like watching college football. Me and you watch Ohio State, and we don't live in Ohio and have never been fans of Ohio State, but I love to watch them play. It's the same thing whenever Miami was good. I'm just as pissed at Miami as I am at Texas A&M. However, Miami's way different than what Texas A&M is doing right now. They didn't lose to Appalachian State. But anyway, I'm off my horse.
We're both off our horses.
My blood pressure.
Let's
heart
put
rate.
a tie on this. Let's put a tie on this. Let's wrap it up. And guys, this is it for episode 14. Several episodes in, man. I'm pumped. Check out the Twitter. It's going to be in our bio. Outside of that, 4th and 1 for our player props or / other plays we see and like. So hope you guys tail, or if you want to reverse fade, I wish you nothing but the worst. All right. See y'all later.